the people treat you like you're scum. And I'm not a bad guy. I'm not a drug addict. I don't steal from people. That's why I'm panhandling, because I don't break the laws or anything like that. I just had some bad luck. But people are really, really bad. I've been spit on. I've had people throw stuff at me, kick my cup down the street, make comment down the street, make comment. Other than that, it's the shelter. The shelter's a bunch of alcoholics, drug addicts.
Note: to help viewers gain a clearer, more objective, and comprehensive understanding of the impact of social ills, we may use images from other areas with similar conditions and situations. If you live or are present in such areas, please share your observations and opinions in the comments section. These contributions will help us improve and update the content in future videos. Thank you. Colorado, a land of majestic mountain peaks, tourism, technology, and seemingly limitless opportunities. According to the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, Colorado's economy continues to grow steadily after the pandemic, with the service and innovation sectors playing a key role. But alongside this prosperity lies another reality, quieter, less visible. According to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, point-in-time count 2024, Colorado recorded approximately 18,715 people without stable housing overnight in January 2024. This number is nearly double that of 2020, reflecting the lingering pressure from the cost of living, lack of affordable housing, and post-pandemic economic volatility. The Denver metro area alone accounts for more than half of this total. In the harsh winter of the high mountains, losing a roof over one's head is more than just losing living space. It also carries the risk of facing serious consequences for health, stability, and the future. Colorado isn't the only state facing housing pressure, but the rate of increase in recent years has made this a topic of public concern. Behind the numbers are real people, families, veterans, workers, young people, who once had homes, jobs, and stability. And the question is, in a state considered prosperous and dynamic, why are more and more people on the fringes of stability? To understand this, we need to look deeper into the data, into the systemic causes, and into the widespread impacts on the community. You can support us with a like, subscribing to the channel, sharing the video, or leaving comments or sharing your personal views on this issue. We are extremely grateful.
Current status.
According to the Metro Denver Homelessness Initiative, Point in Time Report 2024, nearly 10,000 people in the Denver metro area were homeless overnight in January. Of these, approximately 60% lived in temporary shelters. Nearly 40% lived outdoors, in their cars, or in makeshift tents. Notably, the rate of homelessness in Colorado is higher than the national average, according to the HUD 2024 AHAR report. This highlights the particular pressure in major cities like Denver and Colorado Springs. Another growing trend is the number of families with children experiencing homelessness. According to HUD 2024 data, the number of households with children in Colorado has increased significantly in recent years. This means thousands of children are constantly moving, impacting their education and mental well-being. Data from the Colorado Department of Education shows that over 23,000 students in the 2023 to 2024 school year were identified as having unstable housing situations according to the McKinney-Vento criteria. In addition, a notable group is those in long-term situations. According to HUD, the rate of people in Colorado experiencing long-term homelessness is increasing. This indicates that the challenge lies not only in providing emergency assistance, but also in the ability to reintegrate into society in the long term. Another factor is community disparity. 2024 data shows that indigenous people and minority groups in Colorado are affected at a higher rate than the general population. This is an indication that the problem is not evenly distributed among social groups. The current situation is not an isolated case. It's a complex structure comprising outdoor dwellers, families with children, people in prolonged conditions, and communities disproportionately affected. And each group carries a different story. What do you think about the alarming situation unfolding in Colorado? Can you tell me about people like this where you live and what they are doing? Thank you for taking the time to watch our video. Now we'll move on to the next part. The stories behind the numbers. In Denver, organizations like the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless note that the majority of those seeking assistance are not outsiders from the start. Many had stable jobs, rented homes, and lived like everyone else. Elena, a single mother in the Aurora neighborhood, shared that she began experiencing housing instability after rent increased beyond her means. Without savings, even a small fluctuation in income can throw things off balance. According to the Denver Basic Income Project, 2024, over 60% of participants in the Temporary Income Assistance Program previously had a history of continuous employment. This shows that the crisis affects not only the long-term unemployed, but also workers trying to maintain stability. Tom, a former soldier in Colorado Springs, said that the hardest thing wasn't the lack of a roof over his head, but the feeling of disorientation. He spoke of nights with freezing temperatures and the feeling of isolation from constantly moving between areas. According to the HUD 2024 Annual Homeless Assessment Report, veterans remain a vulnerable group, even though support programs have helped reduce rates over the past decade. Support exists, but it doesn't always arrive in a timely manner. In another corner of the city, Maria, a high school student, has to move several times during the school year. According to the Colorado Department of Education, students in unstable housing situations are at higher risk of academic disruption and require additional psychological support. Maria says that what worries her most isn't the test, but not knowing where she'll sleep next week. These stories don't represent everyone, but they reflect a common denominator. The majority of those in this situation don't start from personal breakdown, but from a series of upheavals, rising living costs, unstable income, and a lack of support networks. According to the Colorado Health Institute, housing insecurity is strongly linked to mental health crises, prolonged stress, and declining health. This is a vicious cycle that is difficult to break without early intervention. But amidst this pressure, resilience exists. Elena is participating in vocational training sponsored by a local organization. Tom found community support at a veterans center. Maria received support from teachers and school counselors. These stories remind us that crises are not just about a lack of housing, but also about resilience, about opportunities being given back. Unemployment, disease, and economic recession are serious problems, but even more serious is the lack of timely assistance and the right attention from the government and the community. To do that, we need to understand the root causes of these issues. In the next chapter, we will delve into the systemic causes behind these stories.
Economic causes.
To understand why the housing crisis is escalating, we must look at the underlying economic dynamics. Colorado is one of the fastest growing states in terms of population over the past decade. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, The state's population has increased by more than 14% since 2010. This growth fuels urban development, but also puts significant pressure on the housing market. According to the 2024 report by the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, Colorado lacks tens of thousands of affordable housing units for low-income earners. On average, for every 100 lowest-income households, there are only about 30 to 40 suitable and affordable rental homes. This means competition is increasingly fierce. According to the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority, CHFA, average rents in major metropolitan areas have risen significantly after the pandemic and remain high relative to median incomes. Meanwhile, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, wages are rising but not keeping pace with the cost of living, particularly in service industries and unskilled labor. The gap between income and housing costs is widening. Economists at the Colorado Legislative Council point out that when a household spends more than 30% of its income on rent, it is considered a housing cost burden. In Colorado, hundreds of thousands of households fall into this category. When the percentage exceeds 50%, the risk of housing instability increases sharply. It's not just rent. Food, energy, and insurance costs are also rising between 2022 and 2024, according to data from the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis. For families without emergency funds, even a small disruption, such as reduced working hours or increased medical expenses, can cripple their budget. This isn't a story of a lack of individual effort. This is a story of vulnerability in a rapidly changing economic system. Another factor is that housing supply hasn't kept pace with demand. According to an analysis by the Common Sense Institute Colorado, building regulations, land costs, and material costs have driven up the price of new development projects. As a result, new homes are often geared towards the high-end segment, while the low-cost segment suffers from a severe shortage. As the market focuses on high returns, low-income earners are increasingly marginalized. Furthermore, Colorado has a high rate of interstate migration, people moving for job opportunities and quality of life. But according to U.S. Census migration data, many arrive with average wages, facing direct competition from native residents in the same housing segment. This pressure drives up prices, especially in Denver and surrounding areas. The result is a chain reaction. When housing costs become unaffordable, people are forced to move to smaller homes, share apartments, or relocate further from the city center. But not everyone finds alternative solutions in time. And when financial safety nets are too thin, even a small economic shock can throw entire families into instability. The housing crisis in Colorado is not a sudden phenomenon. It is the result of years of accumulated disparities between growth and accessibility. In the next chapter, we will examine how these economic pressures combine with social factors, and why some populations are hit harder.
Social pressure and health.
Losing a home is more than just losing a roof over your head. It brings with it subtle but profound social and health pressures. According to the HUD Annual Homeless Assessment Report, nationwide, the proportion of homeless people living in poor health is significantly higher than the general population. In Colorado, the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless notes that the majority of those seeking assistance have at least one chronic health problem. Not because they don't care about themselves, but because circumstances make maintaining medical care difficult. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC), lack of stable housing increases the risk of illnesses related to extreme weather, respiratory diseases, and inflammatory conditions. In areas with long winters like Colorado, this is even more serious. Inadequate sleep, unsafe living environments, and lack of access to nutritious food also directly impact physical health. Regarding mental health, according to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, individuals experiencing housing instability have a significantly higher rate of mental health crises compared to the general population. Prolonged stress can lead to mental breakdown, feelings of isolation, and negative thoughts. It's worth noting that mental health care systems in many localities remain overwhelmed. According to a report by the Colorado Health Institute, the demand for counseling and mental health support services in the state has surged after the pandemic, while the supply of qualified professionals has been insufficient. For those without insurance or stable documentation, access to treatment is even more difficult. Children are also profoundly affected. Data from the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act shows that tens of thousands of Colorado students experienced housing instability in the recent school year. U.S. studies. The Department of Education points out that children lacking stable housing are at higher risk of academic difficulties, increased absenteeism, and impaired mental health. The pressure doesn't stop at the individual. It extends to families, schools, and the community. According to the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, CDPHE, the cost of emergency medical care for the homeless population is significantly higher than the cost of preventative care. This places an additional burden on the public health system. A vicious cycle forms. Homelessness, declining health difficulty, maintaining employment, even harder to regain stability. And that cycle is not easy to break. It's important to emphasize that this isn't a story of poor individual choices. This is the intersection of economic pressures, limited access to services, and major social upheavals. When an individual faces multiple pressures simultaneously, financial, mental, and social, their resilience is limited. And without a strong support system, they are very likely to fall into a state of prolonged distress.
Efforts are ongoing.
Amidst the challenges ahead, Colorado is not standing still. In recent years, many local governments and nonprofits have shifted from an emergency response model to a long-term strategy, focusing on housing stability and prevention. According to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, Colorado continues to receive federal funding through the Continuum of Care and Emergency Solutions grants to expand transitional housing and long-term supportive housing. In Denver, the 2025 to 2026 budget shows the city continuing to invest heavily in its all-in Mile High strategy, a multi-year plan to reduce out-of-shelter living by increasing the number of supportive housing units and expanding centralized coordination services. One prominent approach is prioritizing stable housing first, then adding other support services. According to a report by the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless, healthcare integrated housing programs have helped many people maintain long-term stability, reduce the frequency of emergency service use, and improve overall health. The key takeaway is, the solution isn't just about providing housing, but about creating a stable foundation for recovery. Simultaneously, the Colorado Department of Local Affairs, DOLA, has expanded funds for affordable housing development. In 2024 to 2025, thousands of new housing units were approved or completed, focusing on low-income groups and essential workers. In some counties, local governments implemented short-term rental assistance programs to prevent housing instability before a crisis occurred. According to national HUD studies, early prevention programs are significantly less expensive than dealing with the aftermath of homelessness. Colorado is also participating in the National Built for Zero initiative, a a program that helps cities use real-time data to accurately identify the number of people needing assistance and track the gradual reduction of each target group. This approach allows authorities to not just estimate, but manage on a case-by-case basis, increasing transparency and efficiency. Beyond government, community and religious organizations also play a crucial role. Many community centers in Denver and Colorado Springs have expanded their vocational training, job counseling, and legal paperwork support programs. Some local businesses are partnering to create job opportunities for those relocating. According to the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless, when housing and employment are linked, the likelihood of maintaining stability increases significantly. And on an individual level, volunteerism is on the rise. Community mentoring programs, support for students with housing instability, and mental health support groups are being implemented more widely in the post-pandemic era. These efforts may not make the front page of the newspapers, but they are quietly rebuilding fractured foundations. Of course, there are still many gaps to fill. Resources are never unlimited. But what is changing is the mindset, from dealing with individual situations to building a more sustainable system. Colorado is experimenting. It is adjusting, and it is learning from its past mistakes. The question is no longer whether to make the effort, but rather, are those efforts fast enough, deep enough, and sustainable enough to keep pace with the speed of the crisis? In the next chapter, we will look to the future and see what steps can create truly lasting change.
Realistic hope. Hope grounded in reality.
Amidst persistent challenges, hope doesn't come from slogans. It comes from changes that are actually happening. According to a recent report by the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless, programs combining stable housing with comprehensive support services have shown high long-term housing retention rates. Proof that, with the right support, stability is entirely possible. At the state level, the Colorado Statewide Housing Plan 2024 focuses on expanding the supply of affordable housing and shortening the waiting times for assistance. Not a promise for the distant future, but a plan that has been budgeted and is being implemented in phases. On a national level, the HUD Strategic Plan 2024 to 2026 emphasizes a shift from crisis response to proactive prevention. This means earlier intervention, closer coordination between agencies, and long-term investment rather than temporary solutions. Hope also comes from the community. In many areas of Colorado, local businesses participate in reintegration support programs. Nonprofits expand vocational skills training. Volunteer groups provide legal assistance and housing counseling. These actions may not generate big headlines, but they create lasting change. Realistic hope doesn't negate the difficulties. It acknowledges that the system needs improvement, but at the same time, it affirms that improvement is possible. Colorado has adapted to economic upheaval, natural disasters, and profound social changes before. That resilience remains intact. If the long-term strategy is maintained, if the collaboration between government and the community continues to be strengthened, and if societal interest doesn't wane with the news cycle, then hope will not be just an emotion. It will become a result. Amidst the darkness of the shadows in the Rockies, the light doesn't come from a single source. It comes from each policy improvement. One roof is being built after another. One community is deciding not to turn its back. And that is why hope in Colorado is not a pipe dream. It is being built.